Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. And today we're diving into, well,
A very unique sport.
yeah, one that I personally have always been kind of fascinated by. I mean, who hasn't wanted to, pick up a sword and have at it?
Right.
But we're going to go a little deeper than that. We're looking at fencing today.
Yeah.
And you've sent us some materials on USA fencing.
Right.
So we're going to kind of dive deep into those.
Yeah, I mean, fencing, it's often kind of shrouded in mystery.
Right.
With all those strange terms and that unique attire.
Right.
But it really is a sport of strategy, speed, and precision.
Huh.
And it can be enjoyed by people of all ages.
Really?
Yeah, and abilities. So we're gonna break it down for you from the types of weapons to the basic rules of engagement.
Okay, well, let's start with those weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that probably jumps out at people right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got 3 different types.
Right.
And the materials from USA Fencing that you sent over kind of detail the EP, the foil, and the saber.
Exactly.
Good.
Three very distinct weapons, each dictating a different style of play,
Okay.
varying target areas and rules.
Okay.
So let's start with the EP.
Okay.
Now, the EP is unique because the entire body is a valid target.
Oh, wow.
So,
Yeah.
if you think about it, it's almost like a duel where any touch counts.
Okay, so you have to be very
Stay
aware.
constantly on guard,
Yeah.
head to toe.
Okay, interesting. So how does that then
Yeah.
differ from the foil?
So with foil,
Okay.
the valid target area is limited.
Uh-huh.
It's limited to the torso.
Okay.
So it really changes the game significantly.
Right, because you've got a much smaller target area.
Ex-
You're not worrying so much about
Exactly.
the legs or the head or
It's
anything.
much more precise
Right.
and controlled movements. It's less about, a broad defense and more about outmaneuvering your opponent
Right.
to land a touch
On that smaller target.
on that much smaller target area.
Interesting. Okay. And then we've got the saber.
The saber,
Right. Looking at the USA sensing diagrams, it looks like the target area is actually much larger.
Right.
Yeah,
Now,
with saber.
with saber, the target area includes the torso, the arms, and the head.
Wow. Okay.
So this really opens up the game
Are you-
to those really exciting slashing attacks.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is probably what most people think of when they think of
Right, exactly.
sword fighting and fencing.
Exact. And it's incredibly fast-paced
Right.
and dynamic. It demands really quick reflexes and strategic blade work.
Wow. So, okay,
Yeah.
so you've got these 3 different weapons. Each one sort of dictates a different style of fencing, different way of
Exactly.
going about it.
And it's fascinating how each weapon offers something different for different types of fencers.
Right. So you could have someone who's maybe
Yeah.
really into, the strategy and the...
Right. If you thrive on all-out offense,
Yeah.
you might gravitate towards saber,
Yeah.
while, if you enjoy that mental chess match,
Right. If you like being very precise and...
you might prefer foil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So there's something for everyone.
Exactly.
Now, one thing I thought was interesting that you pointed out
Yeah.
in these fencing fast facts is this idea that
Yeah.
people of all ages and abilities can participate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not something you necessarily think about when you think about fencing.
No. And, it seems counterintuitive.
Right.
Because it seems like such a specialized skill.
Well, and you think you have to be
Right.
really strong and athletic and
Right, exactly. But it really comes down to the nature of the sport.
Okay.
While fencing does require physicality, it's not solely reliant on brute strength or speed.
right.
There's a strong emphasis on technique
Okay.
and strategy.
Yeah.
So individuals of varying physical abilities can excel.
I see. So it's kind of like golf in a way, where it's
Exactly. And
Right.
there are programs
more about the technique.
tailored for different age groups
Yeah.
and experience levels.
Okay, so you don't have to be
making it a
a
very
20-year-old Olympic athlete to
inclusive activity.
get into it.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay. So we talked about the weapons, we talked about the
Oh.
accessibility,
And the fencing.
fencing fast facts.
Yeah.
Also touched a little bit on footwork and strategy,
Yeah.
but didn't go into a ton of detail.
Yeah. And what surprised me
Yeah.
was the level of athleticism
Okay.
involved in footwork.
Really?
Yeah, fencers, they're constantly moving, they're
Uh-huh.
adjusting their distance, they're launching attacks. It's like a high-speed dance.
Wow.
It requires agility, balance, and explosiveness.
And so when you talk about the mental game, because we hear that phrase a lot in sports, but
Right.
I mean, what does that actually look like in fencing?
Well, imagine playing chess
Okay.
while sprinting.
Wow.
You have to
Okay.
anticipate your opponent's moves.
Wow.
You got to react in a split second
Right.
and constantly adapt your strategy.
Yeah.
So there's a huge mental component to fencing,
Wow.
requiring focus, discipline, and the ability to read your opponent.
All right, so we've learned about the three weapons today. We touched on the accessibility of the sport.
Mm.
We even kind of dove into
Mm.
this idea of the footwork and the mental
The
game.
mental side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the one thing that you hope our listeners take away from this deep dive?
Well, I hope they realize that fencing, it's more than just sword fighting.
Right.
It's a sport rich in history,
Uh-huh.
strategy, and athleticism. There's a reason it's captivated people for centuries.
Ah. Yeah, and who knows? Maybe this will inspire someone
Right.
to actually give it a try.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a whole
Ooh.
world of technique and strategy waiting to be explored.
Yeah.
So, maybe you'll discover your own fencing style.
Exactly.
So, until next time, keep exploring,
Keep exploring.
and we'll see you on the deep dive.
Absolutely.
Sounds
Good.